About My Money TV. It's your boy King Chaos, baby, and we back. I told y'all this year, man, I want to bring y'all all kind of news, all kind of new guests, new faces. I got a special series here. Um, a lot of y'all don't know about the King's background itself. So one of my best friends, his name is Michael Hart, man. I want y'all to go to freemichaelhart.com, sign the position to get my brother home, man. We're gonna speak to Mike today about his situation and how it can happen to you or how it can happen to someone in your family, man. So it's a really important issue that we're gonna speak about today. It's gonna be probably a two-part series. We're gonna get to know my homie Swisher, I call him, today. And but go to freemikehart.com, man. Sign the petition, man. We're trying to get my brother home, man. Salute.
What's up, bro?
What's up, brother?
How you doing, bro?
You know I'm doing, man. I'm here, man. How you doing?
I'm well, man. I'm well. I ain't gonna complain about it.
All right.
You know, good.
Well, it's about what you know today, man. My audience is ready. We mic'd up, man, and on today on About My Money TV, man, I want to introduce y'all to one of my best friends, man. Make sure y'all go to the page, freemichaelhart.com, man. Make sure that y'all paying attention to what we talking about today, because today can happen to you. It can happen in your home. It can happen to your father, brother, sister, mother. So it's very important what we talking about today, man. Introduce yourself to the people, man.
My name is Michael Hart, aka some of my close brothers call me Swisher.
Such as myself. So if y'all hear me saying Swisher throughout this, I'm speaking of Mike Hart. All right. Tell them a little bit about yourself, man. I want to, on this, I told them it's probably gonna be a two-part, man, because I want the audience to get to know Michael. You know what I mean? So tell them about
Okay.
tell them
I
about
was
where you from. Things of that nature.
I'm from the area where they call Hawthorne, West Montgomery. Uh, I was raised by my grandparents. I was born in '77. Graduated from Warren Central High School. Uh, then I went on to college and was able to get my bachelor's degree while incarcerated inside prison.
Went to Ball
I got
State.
a
Salute to
son.
Ball State.
Yeah, yeah, Ball State. I got a son, Cameron Hart. Got a little daughter named Messiah Hart.
Well, Messiah's
Yeah.
gonna she's gonna be integral in what we gonna be talking about today, man. I think. So coming up in that area, coming up in that
hmm
time, what do you think like
hmm
of some of the things you went through, coming up in that time and area, man?
Um, we we didn't have a whole lot of struggles where at our neighborhood because most of us had two-parent homes, right? I
Right.
mean, we seen the struggles from what was going on in the projects, and we was able to link up with them brothers.
Got a call,
You know,
man. Ain't nobody there.
as it
Got
as
about
it
four packages at the door.
as the time progressed, you know, we start identifying more with the streets, you know, and the neighborhoods as they are became infested with crack. You know what I'm saying? And we all started indulging in themselves, getting more off into the street elements of life.
Absolutely. I think it's important that what he's saying is we were both born in '77, so you got to think uh, around the late '80s, early '90s, the crack epidemic within our city was crazy, and a lot of our mothers and brothers, sisters, and fathers was on crack. So it just changed the dynamic. We had a neighborhood, and then when crack epidemic hit, it turned into a hood. Is that right to say, bro?
I definitely agree with that, bro. That's a great assessment of it. I definitely agree with that.
So
And, you know, we started just start dealing with the more street element of it and start selling drugs within in the communities and tearing them down. And I'm saying to say that, but I was a part of that era.
Absolutely.
I contributed.
Yeah, we contributed to that. We definitely did. But as youth, just trying to watching things go on and trying to make your own way as becoming a man is just something that it seemed easy to get into. It seemed easy to get money in that way. But we all know the effects of it now today. But growing up in those times, we weren't aware of the effects. You know what I mean?
Most definitely.
So
So, what me getting caught up in the street elements of it, man, you know, I made some poor decisions, some bad decisions, and it led me to prison. Unfortunately, I had to do 21. I did 21 years in prison, and uh, when I got home, I was able to start getting my life back in order. You know, I was able to obtain my CDLs, came home to a stable, because I had corrected my old way of thinking. It wasn't about being in the streets no more. I was able to really what they call rehabilitate, but reform in the right way. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
I think it's more of a
So,
reform because in my eyes, we was trying to do right by what we understood is right, but then once you get a little bit older, it change your mind state. A lot of times they don't talk about brain development, and they say the young man brain doesn't fully, the frontal lobe isn't fully developed until you 25 or so, where you can really discern and make those decisions. You know what I mean? So all this
correct.
we
We get
speaking
more
about
mature.
happened before that time.
Right. Because I did get incarcerated at 19 years old. I
Yeah,
ain't come home till I was 42.
it's a
You
long
know,
time. I want the audience to understand. You was incarcerated before that time where that was able to happen.
hmm right. And I mean, the influences I had too that led me to that destructive way of thinking. You know what I mean? Not to blame anyone, but it is the nature thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a naturation of what was going on in the streets, and then like you said, you was incarcerated at 19. You didn't come home until you was 42 years old, and that's most of the time we that were not incarcerated were allowed to make mistakes and grow past those times, but you were already incarcerated, so that's where your growth began, right?
Yeah, most definitely. Because I had more time to reflect, more time than the average person. Because in the world, things is moving so fast. As therefore, being in sitting in these tones, you have time to really reflect on your past actions. You know what I mean, and correct that behavior, or correct that thought. You know what I'm saying? Because your thoughts become more of an action.
Yeah, your thoughts and words are strong, they powerful, and we didn't understand that at that time. What we here to speak about, and the reason why I wanted y'all to kind of get that background is because what we here to speak about is why you're incarcerated today.
Okay. So to give a kind of like background on it, I was released in 2019. Came home, I did everything what parole stipulated. You know, kept gainful employment. I even started my career. I started. I got my CDL license, and
You was married, you got married, you had a child.
yeah. No, I didn't get married. I just had a child.
Well,
I
you
had
had
a
a
child.
fiance.
Right, correct. Correct. I had a stable home. Everything was going in the right direction as I thought. My cousin called me from prison, three-way, and asked me about an officer. However, they took our conversation as us trying to traffic.
It,
There was
you
no conversation on traffic. There was no direction on him trying to to ask me to go pick this up, do this, or it was just him simply asking me about an officer. They then said we conspired to traffic with
He
no
he
evidence.
now I want you to say that clear again. What he offered you, he called and offered you something, or
No, he never. He called and asked me about an officer, simply about an officer. I said that ain't nothing. Leave that alone. She ain't know nothing. That's exactly what I said. They then. He never offered me nothing. He never asked me to go pick up nothing. None of that. There was no conversation of me trying to uh, 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 make any contact with the officer or me telling him I'm gonna go here and meet the officer. No, it was none. So they said that they charged me with a new crime. I've never been charged. You can look it up on my case. I've never been charged with a new crime. However, the parole board felt or is going on that I got a new conviction. They saying I got convicted of this crime and they violated my parole.
so you telling
And
me
kept,
that you was on a violation parole for they came in, they said that you violated your parole based on this conversation.
based on this conversation. They saying not only did I violate, that I caught a new case, which I've never been read my rights. The case has never been adjudicated, which adjudicated means it's never been done and over with because it was never a cause number to start or finish the case. You see what I'm saying?
So you never seen a
So
judge, you never seen anything, you never a rearrest never happened to constitute another
none of
case.
that. Nothing.
So they took you in.
Nothing.
So it's basically false imprisonment. So now you back in jail on a violation of your parole without a new case.
Without no case. That's exactly correct.
And see, this is
Without no case.
this is why we talking today, and this is why this is very important for the audience to hear. Is because if you're on probation or parole, the recidivism rate is so high is because they doing things is this nature. They took him back to jail over a conversation. He never was Mirandized. He never was in front of a judge. He never got a chance to fight any case. But now he's back in jail. What has happened since you've been to the parole board since then?
Well, they want me to admit that I tried to traffic, so it gives them a blanket or cover their actions. So if I admit to it, then they're excused from or not being held accountable for what they're doing. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I mean, in my situation, I'm just fortunate that I have brothers like you in my family, that are able to keep it out and keep fighting for me because otherwise I'm not the only one who's doing this too. They able to do these things because they're not able to hold, ain't nobody being held accountable. They have policies, so by policy, you can look it up on the website. By the policies, they was never supposed to lock me up or charge me with a violation. Even if they did see that I violated my parole, they was never supposed to send me back to prison because you have these, what you call intermediate sanctions that you can do other than sending people back, because that's the purpose of parole, is for people to reintegrate back into society,
Absolutely.
not to keep their foot on us, and keep sending us back on these bogus technical violations. You know what I mean? So instead, it extends your sentence out more than anything, because that's what they did with Indiana with parole. You have your indeterminate and determinate sentences. They gave us determinate sentences, so because they wasn't freeing nobody from parole. You see what I'm saying? Parole it's just a game, bro. Ain't nobody over them. The governor is supposed to be over it, but he's not he's not enforcing them to make the policy to follow policy.
So he basically stays out the way and let the courts do whatever they want, or the police system do whatever they want to do with parole
The penal,
the penal system.
he letting, yeah, he letting D.O.C, the Department of Corrections. So, and it took my family for us to do this research because we never knew. This is the thing. We don't know what's going on with this parole system. So parole is up under D.O.C. and the commissioner of D.O.C. and then they follow what the governor tells them to do or allows them to do. They got policies they got to follow, and they under nobody but the governor. You see what I'm saying? The
Absolutely.
governor they do whatever the governor tells them to do. They don't answer to no judge. They don't answer to nobody but the governor.
Another thing that I want to bring up in this, and what's scary about that is that we have CCA in Indiana, and if you don't know what CCA is, that's corporate correction. That means that that our state has to have so many beds filled in order to fulfill the contract. So we are actually being bought and sold for. We are actually, by him being incarcerated, it feeds into the CCA, it feeds into their corporate structure, and that needs to be overseen by somebody else outside of the D.O.C.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a scary
Absolutely.
system. I think it's a scary system. It's almost a farm system to get people back incarcerated and fill those beds in order to keep the CCA, govern over the jail and the facilities, because now these are corporate facilities and then they're not even ran by the state of Indiana. They just contracted out.
Correct. And also too, bro, it's a whole lot. So if you're considered a threat, and we going real deep. If you consider like a lot of brothers are considered a threat because they are more aware of the system. So when you become aware of the system, and you have family support, you rehabilitating. You're a threat to their system because you're excusing yourself. You're no longer dependent on that system. You're not going to be part of that vicious cycle because you know not to sell drugs. I know I can't harm my community. I know what to do. I know I got to go get these degrees. The right way to hustle is going to get me a job, a 9 to 5, or going to get my electric plumbing license, certifications, CDLs, these type of things. You see what I'm saying? When you start doing it, when you start thinking like that, you're a threat to the system because
Absolutely.
what they want is for you to be a part of this vicious cycle, so they can violate you, you know, demonize you, so to speak, when you wake up, when you become aware.
Yeah, so basically they want to demonize you so they can take the human element out of it, and they can say that they locking away a violent criminal. Where in your case, you came
Right.
home, you built a future for yourself. You had character witnesses that was in court saying that you were doing all the right things while you were on parole, but you still were found in violation without any new charges, and that should be scary for anybody that's listening to that. If you listening to us right
Yeah.
now, that should make you afraid for your sons, for your uncles, for your fathers, because if they're on parole or probation, then they can be just picked up back off the street without any other crimes being committed. This young man has not
And
been re-admitted to jail in any kind of way, but he's been basically kidnapped off the street and re-put into the judicial system, and that's just wrong in every kind of way.
And one thing I want to say to you too, bro, we have to stop always assuming because someone gets locked up that they did something wrong. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, you can't just take, now don't get me wrong, you had dudes that play that actually done crimes, but other times, majority of the time, more often than not, people really ain't done nothing, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm breathing it. You know what I mean? Especially on a violation. If a person ain't caught a new case,
You have 1 minute remaining.
how can I violate it? You know what I'm saying? So let's start doing our research with cases and looking into it and supporting our brothers and not separating from him or her because they done got locked back up. Because you
Absolutely.
might thinking they doing something that they ain't been doing. Well, bro, I appreciate you, man.
We
I
gonna we gonna
appreciate
we
your
gonna
time.
finish. We gonna take some more time. This gonna be just the first series of this. Go to freemikehart.com, bro. I appreciate you giving me a call. Next Thursday we gonna finish. We gonna go to a second part of this, and we're gonna go more in depth. Visit freemichaelhart.com. Make sure if you can sign petitions or whatever need to be possible. Make sure you visit the website, and we get our brothers and sisters out of this predicament. All right. I love you, bro.
All right, bro. I love you too, bro. Thank you, bro.
No problem. We're gonna do this again next Thursday, 2:30. Y'all be here, all right?
All right, bro. 100.
Thank you for using GTL.